going to take a look at where the markets closed out today. It's a tough tape out there, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
We look at the S&P 500 down about 1.5% on the day, more than that. And the NASDAQ heavy index here, NASDAQ 100, tech heavy, down 1.9%. Of course, that was before Amazon had reported results today. We'll see where the market heads tomorrow, Romaine. Also, an interesting sell-off here in the bond market. You have the 2-year yield flying past the 5% level, now closer to 504, sitting at around 503, and the 10-year yield also at 467 before a big Fed day.
Absolutely here. This was one of those 90% down days for the S&P 500. You see a couple of the stocks. Take a look at two of the big car companies. Tesla coming off that 15% gain yesterday, giving back about 6% today. But Stellantis, big story there, down 11%. That was the worst drop we saw in that company going back to the onset of the pandemic in March 2020. Of course, this is the maker of Chrysler and Dodge and Jeep. They basically said they're dealing with a lot of margin pressure right now in Europe, and they don't expect that to improve. And then Globe Life cannot get a break. This was the worst performer in the S&P 500 in the month of April. It was only down 2% today, but that adds to what is now basically a 50% drop that we've seen over the last few weeks here. The latest shoe to drop was a short seller report really attacking the company. All eyes right now on Globe Life. It has become one of the most traded stocks out there. We should talk about, though, a big story, at least my top story of the day, and it's one of the big reasons why you see any green on your screen on the day. Here in the U.S., the Drug Enforcement Agency is said to be moving to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug. That's according to Bloomberg reporting, and you see marijuana stocks really rallied on the news. Tilray up 40%, the best day for that company in a couple of years. Two of the big ETFs tracking this, including the MJ Index as well as the Advisor Shares MSOS, also getting a pretty strong bid. In a nutshell, Shanali, what all this means is that effectively, if this turns out to be true, marijuana would go from being Schedule 1 drug, which is basically the strictest schedule that you have, and that's kind of where heroin and cocaine fall into. It would be reclassified as Schedule 3, which is kind of like where things like ketamine fall into. So basically, it would allow folks out there to obtain marijuana through a prescription. Now, this does not affect recreational use, which would primarily be for medical marijuana. Nevertheless, though, a huge milestone in the U.S. if the DEA does follow through on this.